Let's learn how to add a stunning halftone effect to editable text for both print and web in Illustrator in this super simple tutorial. First things first, I'm going to do this in a print document and then I will compare this to a web document. So let's get started. File, New. Let's select print and we'll just go with the standard US letter CMYK 300 ppi document, landscape orientation, click Create. First, create some text. Grab my type tool, click on the canvas. Let's type out some text. Command or Control A to select it. Come to my character panel. Let's add a typeface, so I'll go with Bemio Italic. Select with Selection tool. Just going to hold Shift and click and drag this larger so it covers more of the canvas. Align tool, align to artboard, horizontal and vertical center alignment. Right, with the text selected, Window, Appearance, double click the characters, select the fill and let's remove this fill. Then come to Type No Appearance and select it. Select the characters and now we're going to add a fill at the bottom in the appearance panel. And with this new fill, click the default black fill and we're going to add a black and white gradient. Now this should be saved by default in your swatches panel. So click to add, then come to your gradient panel and if you can't find it, Window, Gradient, select Gradient and let's set a 90-degree gradient so that the effect comes from the top down. Now come back to your appearance panel and with the fill selected, come down to the FX icon and add a rasterize effect. Now, as this is a print document, the effect is going to be slightly different than a web document, and I will show you this later in the tutorial. So under color mode, let's select grayscale. The resolution now we can go up to 300 ppi because the document is set up for 300 ppi. That's going to give us a more detailed effect. Set your background to white, and you can add more halftone effect around the object by increasing the mill here. So I'll leave that as a default now because we can always go back and change this once we've added the effect. So with the rasterize options set, click OK. Keep the fill selected and come back to FX, and now we're going to go to Pixelate Color Halftone. Now if your channels have numbers here, you can remove them all to 0 and then set a max radius of pixels. Now the higher this number, the larger the circles will be in the effect, and the lower the number, the smaller the circles. Again, this is fully editable, so we can always come back and change this later. So let's just go with 20 for now, click OK. And there is my halftone effect applied to the text. If I press G for gradient tool, I then bring up the gradient slider and I can now make changes to the effect by increasing or decreasing the slider. So for example, say I click and drag across at a diagonal angle and release, you see now I get the effect in a diagonal way. And again, either by using the slider or the gradient panel on the right hand side, I can change the effect by adjusting the slider, changing the angles and so on and so forth. So let's Command and Control C to go back. Now if I come back to my appearance panel, I can also change the effect by coming to rasterize and I can increase the amount of color halftone that goes around the object. So say let's increase this to 20 and click OK. You can see now it has increased the reach of the effect. And if I come to color halftone, remember all this is editable in the appearance panel. I click color halftone. So say I change the max radius from 20 down to 10, click OK. You can now see the dots have become smaller. If I come back to color halftone and I say select max radius of 40, the dots have now become larger. So using the gradient slider, the rasterize effect, and the color halftone effect, you can adjust, make changes, and get the effect the exact way you like. And what's great about this text is fully editable. So let's put it to the test. Let's grab my type tool, hover over. You can see now I can select this text. So if I click, I can remove letters, I can add letters. And also if I Command or Control A to highlight all the text, if I come to my character panel, I can now change the font to any font I like, and the effect will stay applied to the characters. So let's say change to Bungie. Press Selection tool, and you can see now the effect stays on the text. Lastly, what if you want to change color? Very simple. Let's just collapse the character panel. Let's come over to my rectangle tool, select the desired color, either by coming to the fill, double clicking and selecting a color with the color picker, or coming to Window, Swatches, and selecting your color from here. So I'll go with a red. So my fill is now red. Come to your rectangle tool, click and drag a rectangle over the text, select with Selection tool, right-click, Arrange, Center Back, select both with the Selection tool, come to my Transparency panel, so Window, Transparency, and then click Make Mask and Invert Mask. And that will now apply the desired color to the effect. And if you want to change color at any time, double-click to select the colored rectangle and either use Fill or the swatches, and you can change the color here accordingly. One final thing, I just want to show you the difference between setting this up in a 300 ppi print document and a 72 ppi web document. So here we obviously are in the 300 ppi document we set up. So if I come to color halftone, you can see my max radius now is set to 20 pixels. So if I come to an RGB version that I have just set up, so come to color halftone here, now you can see this is set to 8. Now watch what happens if I set to 20. Press OK. You can see now I get much larger dots on the page, naturally because this is a 72 ppi, not 300 document. So bear that in mind with web, and also when I set up the rasterize, my measurements will obviously be in pixels, and what I can do is obviously set color model to grayscale. If I switch the resolution then to 300 ppi, if I click OK, you can see now that creates a much more detailed effects because I've increased the number of pixels in the inch. So just bear that in mind. If you're working in a web or print document, you need to be conscious of the PPI because that will dictate the level of detail you go into, and also you'll have to work in pixels instead of say inches or millimeters. So there you have it. That's how to create a stylish looking halftone text effect without having to expand the text itself. So the text remains fully editable, and you can do this in both a print document and a web document. So I really hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, keep on designing, and I will see you for the next tutorial.